Okay, for today's panel discussion, we'd like to start like this. As I see the panelists sitting in front of the stage, and panel discussion will proceed with 3 steps. The first step is just a brief, what is the point of the session 1 and session 2, including keynotes. Then we move on the request for the speakers to provide some comments and opinions, suggestions for the some important requirements. Then after that, we will move on the discussion, including some question and answer. Actually, in the morning session, keynote, in the keynotes, we share the outline and the objective and goal of EMAK and EMAK 9. Then two guests also provided the some of the comments on importance and effectiveness of energy management in the policy and law to promote energy conservation. And in session 1 is regarding the Japan-Brazil cooperation project. So here we share the outcomes of this project, such as a showcase energy management system and best practices established by the project. So that we realize the effectiveness of the energy management system to promote energy conservation. And also, Brazilian government and the CNI provided us a very good energy conservation program tied within this project, also the harmonized with this project. I think this is another good program continuing for the future. And in session 2, excellent speaker, also the excellent speakers from the companies provide us with an advanced energy management system and also the best practice energy conservation measures and the technologies, especially controlled under the energy management system established by Japanese, Brazilian, Chilean companies. And also they have a very good policies with goal to contribute to the sustainable development. I think these are the important points found from their presentations. So that's next. Basically, we'd like to ask each participant to provide valuable comments, including some suggestions for the futures. So, especially focusing on the requirement and challenges to improve energy management system, and also your suggested possible solutions and way forward. These 2 points are your comments. So I think that the panelists are basically from the private and public sectors. So at first, I'd like to ask the representatives from the companies, especially some comments on the 2 points in the company to sustain energy conservation promotion. Maybe you may have some suggestions and requirements for the government. So after that, I would like to ask the same points, comments on the same comments from the participants from the government and the public organization. Okay. Is it okay for you? So may I ask the Ms. Gracia to provide your comments and suggestions? So would you please provide a very simple comments within 3 minutes? Thank you very much.
Okay. Should we speak English?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to comment that for companies like us, big companies that have set objectives that are usually global objectives for energy efficiency and for CO2 reduction, we do have the motivation for implementing and sustaining energy management systems. But this is usually not true for smaller companies, national companies that do not have set objectives for that. So when we plan, and now I'm talking about planning maybe a local regulatory frame for energy efficiency development, we need to take into considerations that we have companies that have been advancing, and we saw many examples here of results of energy efficiency that have been implemented, programs and initiatives that take those companies to a certain level already. So when we plan for a new system or for a goal setting in the country, we need to take into consideration that we have different levels of development for energy efficiency in the country. So we don't establish a penalty for the ones that already have developed and have implemented systems. At the same time, we can see the importance of having those objectives. This is what leads to advancing the companies, to bringing technology into the country, to bring in technology for energy efficiency advancement, and also brings development for the people that work on those companies. So we have professionals that have the chance and the ability to experiment with energy efficiency, to lead programs, and this is not absolutely true for 100% of the companies. So maybe things that we need to focus and plan for the future is how do we educate and how do we provide opportunities for development for our teams and for the workforce here in the country, and at the same time set goals that are fair and that encourage companies to adopt energy management system and to sustain those. So I think these are my main comments.
Thank you very much. I think that is also a very important point for the company to consider, also for the government to consider. Thank you very much. So next, I ask a comment by Mr. Leandro Lorenzo. Yeah, you're working with the Japanese Brazilian companies.
Yes. Well, the case I showed here was not directly related to the industry. We presented a case of an office. The air conditioning has a huge impact in office buildings. In the industry, as you said in the morning, it's easy to attack some points that the investment is low and the result is huge. And as you already did this, the next steps become harder. It needs some investment, and the result is not so big. I think for the air conditioning enter in this point. In the industry, the air conditioning maybe it's not so heavy the portion of the consumption, but the result of some action is important proportionally. So as the energy conservation actions develop in the industry, in some moment, the air conditioning will be the point to be attacked. And in this point, we have the challenges in Brazil that are the regulation. As I said, I already said in my presentation for the residential side, but also in the commercial side, the big systems, the central systems require some regulation because today the only data available is the data that the manufacturers themselves provide, and nobody confirmed this data. So we just believe in the paper, and some regulation may make it more reliable.
Thank you very much. Also, this is very important. And I think that the air conditioning system, not only for the commercial building, but also in the industry. Actually, the industry building use much air conditioning, and some industries also use air conditioning. So this is a very common equipment, also the technology. Yeah. Thank you very much. So next, Mr. Carlos Marin, you are from Chile. So you may have a different viewpoint. And actually, I'd like to inform that CMPC PARP was awarded for the same energy management award. Same means clean energy minister. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction again. As well, our perspective, I will try to put it as a regional perspective with our experience in the 6 countries that we have been implementing energy management system until now. And I think what we have been missing is supporting infrastructure in terms of local consultancy capacity. We have lacked to have clear points on which to find who are the accredited implementing companies that have experience in implementation of the ISO 50001. These have been actually a problem for us to find. We have been working lately with one company that flies around regional, and sometimes that's not so optimal in the sense of having the support on a more continuous basis. So I think that is something that could be addressed by the local authority to have like a centralized database of respected consultants. And also the other thing that we have been addressing or trying to find are the experience that we have been seeing in Europe. For example, the availability of green financing for energy conservation and energy efficiency measures. Until now, all the measures that we implement are competing directly with operation continuity projects, but also incremental capacity projects, which are always the focus. Energy efficiency is not the focus. Output of production is the focus. So unless the project is really good, we can't really go forward. So if we will have available green financing that we have seen in other locations, that will be also a way to move forward projects that might be also interesting.
Thank you very much. I also agree to the financing is important factors to realize effective action at the same time. But probably, according to your presentation, we learned that you actually realized many investment projects. So I believe that you could well manage some financing within the company. However, I think that I realized importance of some supporting system by sometimes government and sometimes a private organization, something like that. Thank you very much for your comments. Next, Mr. Dario. Yeah.
Regarding challenges, as we mentioned, we have a challenge in 2050 to achieve zero CO2 emission by 2050. And so now energy management, energy conservation is just a part of this entire picture. And also, as we also mentioned, we are not focusing only inside the company, but we would like to bring the same contribution to all our environmental suppliers, community, dealers, and so on. So our challenge is to continue our way of thinking regarding energy conservancy to all these stakeholders that we have, and so that they also have the positive aspects of energy saving, and just to contribute for society as a whole. And so in this perspective, at a certain point it will be very important adoption of renewable sources of energy, and all the policies that can contribute for easy adoption, not only by the industry, but by the society as a whole, might be very important for our society in the future. In this sense, this is how we see this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, we also learned very much from the Toyota approach, comprehensive approach, not only by the advanced technology, but also grassroots activities under the excellent CSR policy. Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Miyashita.
Okay. In my presentation, there are two important things which I could not include in my presentation. One important thing is a mindset of the people about energy conservation or saving. And second thing is a day-to-day operation and actions to achieve energy saving, including the Kaizen. Talking about the mindset matter of the people, we are providing hardware, software solution for energy saving and management. But people's mindset to save energy is often more important. Japanese, we do not like wasting energy, both in business and at home. It is not because just avoiding wasting cost, but we have had clear education and mindset about energy saving and pro-environment in decades. So I believe that is a very important part, education, enlightening to the people. And we, all big companies like Toyota, GM, CMPC, Daikin, and Mitsubishi Electric, and many of those big companies have such a good mindset, but probably for smaller companies, we have many things to do more in Brazil. So for such part, I would like to contribute to education and lighting as well as our business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miyashita. Mr. Miyashita also points out very important some of the factors for energy conservation. Mindset is also combined with an advanced energy, even with an advanced energy management system, especially the specific action by the people realize the actual results. So that I understand his comments on the mindset is very important. Thank you very much. Now, next, I'd like to ask the excellent representatives from the Brazilian Japanese government. May I ask Mr. Carlos Alexander Pires? Yes. Your comments?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for this great opportunity to exchange ideas. And regarding energy efficiency, I see that Brazilian government should focus on the mindset change that he mentioned. Because, and I think it's a good way to exchange ideas between Brazil and Japan as well. For those who are more than 40 years old like me, you can remember those Japanese cartoons and TV series from the 50s, 60s, Ultraman, Spectreman, and you can remember that all the monsters came from waste, came from pollution, came from the non-natural resources, and that's the mindset we want to reach, and that's the mindset we want to change. We Brazilians should always focus on how to save energy, how to save our natural resources, and that's the main thing I think that we should focus on in our cooperation. And I thank you every time we have meetings, and I always remember that, and I think it's what we can take from the best of our relationship.
Okay, thank you very much. Especially the ProCell program is also very helpful, not only for the government, but also for the private sectors, jointly implementing our outcomes after this project also. And I think that probably all the Brazilian participants could expect or could join some of the activities under ProSec program. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Carlos. Then Mr. Gustavo Fontenelle.
Okay, thank you again. I would start with the idea, the point of the mindset, but linking it with something that's quite unusual for us, which is to discuss actually energy conservation and energy efficiency. I would call it the cultural barrier. It's not part, in general, of the Brazilian culture to take care of these two topics. As an example, I was not in an industry yesterday, but I was checking in my hotel room, and the lady at the reception desk gave me 2 keys. And she said, alrighty, the first key is for you to keep the lights on. And the second key is for you to enter the room whenever you'd like to. And I say, okay, thank you very much, but I don't need the second key, actually. So it's this idea of the mindset, it's very important, but goes further, because it relates to the cultural change that, of course, depends on a lot of education, maybe many generations, but mostly an increase in the energy bill. And I think that we must address this topic. Maybe the energy in Brazil is too cheap. It is not. Not for the big companies, but for the households.
Yes.
Maybe. For the households, maybe. And people in their homes must be taking more care about energy, because the same people who starts learning in their home will take their habits to work and will waste more energy at their workplace. But anyway, this is the first aspect. The second deals with information. I would say that, in my opinion, people is not very well informed about the benefits, the real benefits of EC and energy efficiency. And I think that, it goes beyond education as well. And Procel, who has been doing a great job in this sense, needs to increase its role in our society. Another topic that I would say is that still, even though we already know that energy costs are really high for industry and for the industrial sector, is still energy efficiency is still not a priority for companies. If you take a look maybe in the priority sectors, you'll go for maybe sales, marketing, product development, and energy efficiency when possible. Maybe a little bit more about product quality, for instance, than energy efficiency. And I think that we have all the resources to change this reality, and I think that we need to address it as soon as possible. And of course, when a topic is not a priority, there is a lack of time, money, and resources. I mean human resources. And it is a number of chained ideas that we should take into account. And the last topic that I would like to address deals with the financial aspect of it. Because, of course, you need to find the money to make a change. And many of the financial mechanisms that we have available in the country, they are not fit for the purpose to promote and to make a real change in this scene. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gustavo, for your another good, important viewpoints. And I think that this viewpoint also related to the program on the Brazil more productive, especially focused on the SMEs and also the people. Thank you very much. So next, I'd like to ask the comment from the Mr. Koyama from the Japanese viewpoints.
Thank you very much. And it's not from Japanese viewpoints, but I agree with your point. The first point, which you said that the behavior change is very important for the reducing the energy consumption and improving the energy efficiency. I forget the month, but in June or July, I attended the G20 behavior change workshop in Paris and, with IEA. And that time I presented our experience in behavior change. And it's very easy. For example, I presented like this. In Japan, in summertime, I do like this, cool breeze. Yes. And when this cool breeze, and just comfortable in summer period. It's an effective way to encourage the old people for considering the energy efficiency, the importance of energy efficiency. This kind of activity is very important. Not only the state-of-art technology. So that I'd like to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koyama. He introduced our way of doing. Today, Japanese delegates actually are tight and use the tide. But usually in the summertime, we don't use the tide. This is a different change in also the custom and business. So now we could get a very valuable comments from the panelists.